What's going on, fellas? Welcome back to the stream. This is our part of our essentially daily stream where we stream every single day during the week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and on weekends at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. Anyways, what's going on, boys? Welcome back. Yesterday, we did a little bit of a live stream watching the Contender Series, which was fun. The card itself, I thought, was not good at all, actually, but there were certain fights that were fun, and there's actually some news concerning that specific card. Let me just get myself situated here. All right, that's good. 1 second, fellas. Kid Low, what's going on, brother? Welcome back to the stream. Let me just get myself situated. 1 second, fellas. All right, that'll work. Anyways, so since we talked yesterday, not too much news or anything like that, but there was one thing that came out. So the guy who fought on Contender yesterday, Khamzat Chimiev's teammate, is actually going to be fighting on this card at UFC 319. Really, really quick turnaround. What is it, like 4-day turnaround or whatever the hell it is? Really impressive. And also he put on a really, really impressive performance in the Contender Series. So that's definitely interesting. Oh, sorry. Let me pull this up. There we go. Yeah, so pretty good stuff. He's already making his turnaround against Eric Nolan. We'll see how this fight looks, but as I said on the Contender, and as you know, I said going forward in this guy's career, I do expect this kid to be really, really good. So I'm excited. I have high expectations. Really quick turnaround, as I said, but yeah, I think he'll be able to overcome that. He looks like a really good fighter. 15 fights to begin. Yeah, we honestly are so back. The card itself is tremendous. We have a ton of fights in the card. The card without this edition was really good, but the fact now that they're adding another really good prospect to this card, it's going to be great. And obviously on top of that, as we talked about before, we have the main event in Khamzat and Dricus. I mean, that's going to be so fun. The main and co-main event within themselves are going to be really fun. But then on top of those two fights, you also talk about Prates versus Jeff Neal. Oh, I saw this online, by the way. Is Jared Cannonier out of the fight? I don't know what's going on. MVP's fighting some other guy, Jacob Kilburn. I don't know if that's official or not, but on Google, that's what it shows. But it could just be a glitch. That has happened before. I haven't heard any news about Cannonier pulling out or anything. I'm assuming he's still on the card or within that fight, but it's a glitch. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Yeah, it's weird. But anyways, yeah, so that fight's going to be interesting, I guess. Kai Sakura's on the card. I think he's a fun fighter. Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira is okay fight. Mir Shark versus Ola Jacek. Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Godinez. Alexander Hernandez, Chase Hooper. Barbosa Close. That's going to be super, super fun. Brian Battle, Ruzaboyev, that's a good fight as well. There's a lot of good ones. There's definitely a lot of good fights, and obviously, as I said, they just added the additional fight. Kilburn has Cannonier's whole resume. Yeah, that's weird. Definitely interesting. Oh yeah, he does. What the fuck? How the fuck did this happen? But all right, he switched colors. Cannonier did, but all right. But regardless of that glitch, the card itself, as I said, is going to be really, really good. And this card is definitely going to be, well, it definitely, in my opinion, is the best of the year on paper. Talking about top fights at the top of the ticket, like the main event, the co-main event, but also throughout the card, I actually do think it is pretty deep. Some really good fights. Maybe not all fights that have super meaning, like a ton of meaning, but there's definitely a lot of fights on the card that, at the very least, will be fun. On top of the fact that there is meaningful fights in this card as well, so really good overall. Whoever's going to the card is probably going to watch a good one. I think these fights are certainly going to deliver. Of course, when fights are good on paper, you don't always know if they're going to look good in actuality. But for this card specifically, I think it's going to be really good. So as you can tell, I'm definitely really excited for this upcoming card. But yeah, but outside of that, in terms of news, I don't believe there's anything new. Khamzat showed off his new shorts that I thought didn't look that great. Also, Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes are fighting October 3rd in Dubai. That's actually some good news. I talk about it all the time. I don't really think PFL is that fun, but the one fight that I think that they could make that actually is fun is is that fight, Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes. The first time they fought, it was really good. A lot of people thought Paul Hughes won the fight. I also thought he won the fight, but they ended up giving it to Usman. So they're doing the rematch. So that's definitely going to be fun. And I'm excited about that, honestly. The rest of the PFL card is probably going to suck, if I'm being honest, but that main event should be good. The tough fights are doing. It's such a good fight last one. Right? Yep, that is true. They usually are pretty fun. So I'm happy they're also adding the finale of the tough fighters on UFC 319 as well. So this card is honestly very jam packed. You have a Contender Series guy making a quick turnaround. You have the Ultimate Fighter final fight happening on this card. Even besides those two fights, the rest of the card was great. So definitely a lot of good action set for Chicago this weekend. Definitely really excited. And as I said, it does feel like we're really back, to be honest. After so long of having mediocre cards throughout the most part of the year, it does feel like we are heating up. With UFC 318 probably set us off, 317 probably set us off. 318 wasn't amazing, but now with 319 and going forward towards the rest of the year, we're in store for a lot of really, really good fights and fun fights. And honestly, I think there's a real chance we finish out the year with a great card like almost every single week, which is great. And also, I talked about this the other day, but there were some rumors, or not even rumors, some news that the UFC is going to try to expand capacity at the Apex to 5 to 10,000 attendees. I think that's also great news. The big problem with the Apex that everybody, including myself, has been complaining about for so long is the fact that there's no fans there. And when there's no fans, there's really no atmosphere. Yes, you can have great fights in the Apex. And when you look at some of the more recent Apex cards, there definitely have been some good fights for sure. But the problem is when there's no fans there and there's no action, it just doesn't make the fights feel as great as they probably would be in an arena. So the fact that the UFC is planning on upping capacity to 5 to 10,000, yeah, it's not like a ridiculous amount, but 5 to 10,000 fans could certainly make fights feel a lot more exciting. And if the UFC went to the Apex once a month or once every 2 months, whatever it ends up being, I don't think fans would complain nearly as much at that point with the upgraded capacity. Johan Sung is back. Yeah, I saw that. It's actually a great thing that that one fighter had to pull out because he's a really fun fighter. He has that prime Connor style, karate style, and obviously in his first performance, it was a beautiful, beautiful fight, beautiful performance, beautiful counter shot. So I'm excited to see this guy fight again. So so it's going to be Daniel Santos versus Joe Sung Yo at UFC Perth. So that's really exciting. I don't remember who Santos was supposed to fight initially, but I am happy that his initial opponent had to pull out, to be honest, just because now we're getting this fight, which I think will be a banger. Daniel Santos is also, in my opinion, a pretty good fighter. A lot of those guys out of Shoot the Box are fun. So I'm excited. That fight itself is going to be really good. And it's definitely a great addition to the UFC Perth card, which already honestly was looking pretty good. The main event of that card was already pretty good. There was a couple of fights on the card that I thought were fun. And adding that fight to an already good card just makes it better. So as I was talking about before, a lot of good stuff coming our way next year. We also have the UFC officially signing with Paramount. So that's going to be great. I think the platform is going to be a lot better. I think we have a chance to see even better fights next year than even we do this year. And I don't know. I just think it's going to be great. And obviously, most importantly, we don't have to pay for pay-per-views anymore. I did hear some rumors of Dana saying that pay-per-view is not dead. Maybe there'll be a couple times where we do have to pay pay-per-view. I'm hoping that it's completely dead, that we don't have to pay it at all anymore. But even theoretically, if we do have to pay pay-per-view for, let's say, I don't know, 3 or 4 events a year, that is a lot better than what it is now, having it every single month. So, and in July, it's twice a month. So, as I said, I hope there's no pay-per-view anymore at all, but we'll see. It seems like Dana still wants to do pay-per-views, unfortunately, but yeah. We'll see. If I had to guess at this point, though, if they are going to do pay-per-views, I'm assuming probably what they're going to do is those 4 big events, because Dana said next year there's going to be 4 huge events, with the White House card being a part of that. Maybe those kind of cards will turn out to be pay-per-view and you have to pay for it. I don't know. But I guess we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do there. But yeah, just a lot of good news, to be honest. A lot of good stuff. Was just putting some videos together about some of these upcoming fights. Definitely excited about it. Was just putting videos together about Kaya Bahalio and Imavov, BSD and Rufi. I mean, those two fights are going to be great, and that's on a fight night of UFC Paris. Brian Ortega, Aljamain Sterling, that's a great one. Waldo versus Sergey, that'll be fun. Kevin Borjas, Sumar Darji is probably going to be a fun fight as well, to be honest. Charles Johnson versus Loner Kavanaugh is actually one that I'm really looking forward to. And Kyle Dawkins is back, the legend. So, so that'll be interesting for Shanghai next week. But yeah, good stuff, boys. Really good stuff. UFC pay-per-view in Dubai, White House, Spain, and one others next year. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, it would be nice if they can finally figure out the Spain thing. I mean, they do have a star that feels like he could, he's already a big star, Taporia, but it feels like with one big performance or him being promoted correctly, he could be like a ridiculously huge star. So I definitely would like to see the UFC finally go to Spain. I know maybe the logistics of it is not that easy or whatever the hell is going on with Dana and the UFC, but they got to figure it out. Go to Spain eventually. Have Taporia headline the card. Hopefully, for their sake, he's still the champion at that point. I'm sure he will be. That honestly, in an ideal world, you do Taporia versus Islam in Spain next year. That would be an ideal scenario. The crowd would be great. It would be a huge arena wherever they put it in Spain. Taporia's stardom would probably even grow more at that point than it already is at this point. And that's just a huge fight. That's the biggest fight you can possibly make in the sport, those two guys. So obviously a lot of moving parts. Taporia has to win his next fight. Islam has to win his next fight. But if everything can go properly and everything can go well, I think that would be an ideal scenario for the UFC and fans as well. And yeah, so the Dubai card, I could see that being a pay-per-view as well. Usually those cards are stacked. So I wouldn't be surprised. The only thing is usually the cards are earlier in the day. So I don't know if that's going to have any sort of factor on whether or not the UFC decides to make that card a pay-per-view. But I mean, obviously, Dubai cards have been pay-per-view in the past. So we'll see, I guess, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure that card is going to be great. The White House card, I could definitely see that. But the only thing I will say, I mean, I'm assuming the White House card would be a pay-per-view if they are having any more pay-per-views at all. But one thing that I will say is I thought I heard Dana say that the White House card is going to be live on CBS. And if that's the case, obviously it wouldn't be pay-per-view. So I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, maybe one other, whatever they decide to do. Give Justin the title shot. Some get slaps and credit. Oh man, yeah. Honestly, sure. I do agree with you. I think Gaethje is the easiest fight out of all the options for Taporia. And Gaethje is just way too hittable on the feet. He just gets hit way too much. And with the power of Taporia, I really just don't think it'll be close. I'm assuming if that fight does happen, Ilya would just knock him out. But if he really wanted to, I think he can probably also find a takedown and find a submission eventually. I mean, Gaethje has good takedown defense, but I think eventually Taporia would find it. But as you said, I'm assuming he'll just knock him out in the feet. And then if you do Arman versus Paddy, I mean, I like that, honestly, because, yeah, Arman probably deserves it right now. He certainly deserves it a lot more than Gaethje, but if you had to have him fight one more time, I think him versus Paddy does make a lot of sense, because if Paddy found a way to win that fight, then the Paddy fight actually would make a lot of sense between Taporia and Paddy. They have beef, and at that point, Paddy would certainly deserve it if he beat the number one contender and Arman Saryukin. But we'll see. I guess the only potential flaw with this thing is, as I said a bunch of times, I personally think Taporia is going to fight one more time and probably win his next fight. Let's see who he fights next, but I'm assuming he'll fight one more time at lightweight, probably win, and then he'll move up to 170. The only thing with this scenario is, let's say he beats Gaethje, which I do think he will. Then if he fights the winner of Arman versus Paddy, or let's say they put that fight together, Arman and Paddy, I don't think Taporia is going to fight the winner of those guys. I think Taporia is just going to move up to 170. But we'll see. And I guess that kind of risks us never seeing the Paddy versus Ilya fight. But, it's not a fight that I think many fans are desperate to watch anyway. It's kind of just they have beef, and it'll be interesting to see. But I think most people would heavily favor Ilya Taporia in that theoretical matchup. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind that. The judges scored the fight last set. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bro. It's insane, dude. I feel like every single week we just see worse and worse judging. It's honestly really insane. And And yeah, I mean, listen, the fight was very low output and it was a shitty fight, if we're being honest. Kind of felt like neither guy really wanted to go for it, but it was a pretty clear draw, like very clear. So one judge had it 30-26. I know there was a point deduction in the first round, so that's why it was a 10-8 in the first. But still, having a 30-26 scorecard after the second and third round were clearly lost. We're just I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just ridiculous. As I said, I just feel like every week there's some sort of like ridiculously bad scorecard. And it just, it's a little bit frustrating with these judges. Um, but I guess what can you do? I just don't get it personally with the whole judging thing, because if we're able to watch it on TV and have such a like when you watch a fight and it's so obvious that it should go one way and a judge scores it the other way, or in this case judges 2 rounds incorrectly, it just I don't know. I don't even know what to say. It's just very weird. Listen, if a fight's close and one judge gives it one way, the other judge gives it the other way, okay, that's understandable. But when it's like very obvious, it's insane. Like there's a bunch of examples. Cheeto Vera versus Corey Sandhagen. One judge gave it to Cheeto Vera when he clearly lost every single round. So I don't know. I don't know what UFC's judging is. It's just not great. Hire new guys. I don't know what to say, but it is pretty ridiculous. Another chance for India next week in the Contender Series. Let's go. Let's see if they can come through. I'm actually kind of excited about the Contender next week. I don't know that many guys in the card, but I do know the 49ers guy is fighting. The 49ers, former 49ers player is fighting on that card. So I'll be interested to see how he does. I know a lot of football players have not had a lot of success, honestly, fighting in the UFC. But one advantage that a lot of these guys do have is they are probably going to be very athletic. So obviously that is an advantage fighting MMA, and we'll see how he does. The UFC's heavyweight division is also desperately needing of some sort of a heavyweight prospect. So I'm not saying he's going to be the guy, but we'll see how he looks. And if he could use that explosion, if he could use that athleticism, it certainly could help him out in a really blobby heavyweight division, I guess I'll say. Most of these guys at the lower half of the rankings, even unranked guys, are essentially just blobs. So if you're really athletic and you have some power, I do think you can have a chance here in this heavyweight division. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he looks like. There we go. On Kick, we got another guy trying to sell me something. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, not too much other news. Yeah, really quick turnaround for Khamzat's teammate. It's pretty cool, actually. He's kind of taken the Khamzat approach earlier on in his career when Khamzat fought back-to-back weeks, essentially. So really quick turnaround. I'm excited about him. I think he's going to be really good. But we'll see. We'll see what he looks like here. It's cool. What do you boys think of Khamzat's new shorts? I think they kind of suck, to be honest. But what do you boys think? Man, I can't believe we're finally here. Fight week. Let's go, boys. 4 straight first round finishes for him. One of the belts. Yeah. I'm excited. We'll see how he does. Definitely should. I mean, he definitely would have an advantage over a lot of these other guys, just because, as I said, there's so many blobs in this weight class. But we'll see. I hope he's good, because I said it so many times. We need heavyweight talent. If they were black and red, they'd be sick. That's fair. I mean, obviously they had to have a wolf on it, with Khamzat or whatever. Yeah, probably a red one would have looked better. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably my least favorite custom short that I've seen so far. Unless I'm forgetting something, I feel like for the most part, all of these shorts, these custom shorts they do for fighters, usually look pretty cool. Khamzat's the first one. I'm like, I don't know if it looks great, but I guess it's okay. Dana White says Conor McGregor really wants to be back. He said he's posting videos of himself training. He's back in the testing pool. He really wants to fight in the White House card. We'll see, I guess. I mean, listen, would it be cool to see Conor McGregor fight again? Yeah, it would be cool, but I would prefer him not to be the main event, and the only thing I will say, it's kind of difficult to see Connor not be a main event because the White House card is going to be such a big card. I would love to see great fights on it. Um, but listen, if Connor's available and he wants to fight, I'd be happy about it. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Can't wait for Saturday. Me too, bro. Me too. It's going to be such a good card from top to bottom. It has the depth. It has a really good main card. It has a really good prelims. It has an amazing main event. The co-main event is also insanely good. It's just a great card overall. It really is a really fun card, and I'm excited about it, bro.
Danny, your mom's a fun card.
Dana's mom's a fun card. But yeah, Jeff Neal versus Carlos will be war. I think that's probably going to be the fight of the night. If I had to say, it's either going to be that or the main event. Both of these guys really go for it. And I do think we're probably going to see a finish one way or the other. In my opinion, I think Prates will find the finish, but there's going to be a lot of action in this fight. Jeff Neal has really fast hands, really good boxing, always goes for it, gets in the pocket, lands big shots. And for Prates, he's I don't remember him being in a boring fight. Maybe you could say the Ian Gary one wasn't super exciting, but I thought it was fine. So it'll be good. It'll definitely be a really good one. Brian Battle by finish. Yeah, I think Brian Battle is certainly the better fighter out of him and Ruziboyev. The only thing is Brian Battle does get hit a lot, and he is moving up to a higher weight class against Ruziboyev, who's huge for the middleweight division and also hits pretty hard. So I would be a little bit concerned about Brian Battle because of those factors, but in terms of the skill level, Brian Battle is significantly more skilled fighter than Ruziboyev. But we'll see. We'll see if the size difference plays a role. I kind of thought it was weird that Brian Battle decided to move up to the middleweight division. I think it's not a great decision for him, but we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if he beat Ruziboyev. Main event is a movie. Yeah, I agree. The main event is so good. It's going to be really, really good. I really do, as I said, I really don't think there's a better fight on paper that I can think of right now. I mean, Islam Ilya, but outside of that fight, like this is the second best fight you can possibly put on in the UFC. Two guys that are undefeated with the company, two guys that have looked really good in a lot of their different fights, and one of these guys have got to lose. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I see paths to victory for both guys. It's a really close fight, I think, and should be good. Flew all the way to Chicago from San Francisco. Let's go, bro. You're going to the card? Oh, yeah. I think you told me the other day. Yeah, that's fire. That's fire. Definitely enjoy the card. It's going to be really good. Yeah, I would recommend, honestly, just watching the entire card, not just the main or whatever. I think the entire card, literally from the first fight to the last, is going to be good. Jeff destroyed Luque. Yeah, that was bad, man. I think a part of the reason, I mean, not only the Jeff Neal fight, but a part of the reason for why Vicente Luque looks a little bit washed at this point is because of that beating he took from Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal really put it on him, landed a ton of shots. His boxing was very crisp, and yeah, tough beating that Vicente Luque took in that one. Bobby Green getting slept again. I think so. I actually think that Diego Ferreira is a really good fighter. I think he can win in a couple different ways, on the feet or even on the ground. Maybe he looks to grapple a little bit in this fight. I wouldn't be shocked. Actually, I would expect him to. And for Bobby Green, like, yeah, he does have a fan-friendly style for sure, with his hands down, has good head movement and whatever. But I think at this point, he's a little bit washed up in my opinion. And after taking that spinning wheel kick in his last fight versus Rufi, I don't think he's going to have a lot of success here. And I think probably he should consider retirement soon. Maybe after this fight, he should consider retirement. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how he looks. John, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Two monsters locked in the cage. Yep. It's going to be good, boys. I'm excited about it. Diego had a war with Benil. Green destroyed Miller. Green did destroy Miller. That was bad. That was bad. Kind of sucks for Miller because he's on UFC 100, 200, 300, and on 300 he took an absolute beating. But yeah, Rufi will KO Benoit. Yeah, we'll see. I think both guys kind of have an opportunity to beat each other. I mean, listen, Benoit is very, very aggressive. He kind of runs into shots sometimes, so I could see that sort of style of Rufi being actually perfect for the kind of style that Benoit has, because he can find a big counter shot. But at the same time, if he doesn't find a big counter shot, I think it could be a difficult fight against Benoit. But we'll see. We'll see. Imavov sleeps Bahalio. Yeah, I could see that as well. Imavov has been looking really good as of late, and honestly in general. And so is Bahalio, but we'll see how they fare up against each other. Bruno Diego Ferreira, my first round sub. I could see that. Actually, as I said, I do actually think he's going to grapple against Bobby Green, and I know Bobby has. I know that he has, has some submission victories on his record, but I think if he goes to the ground with Diego, I think he'll be fine. He KO'd Stylebender. Oh, Imavov did? Yeah. He did KO Stylebender. I thought the first round Stylebender was looking pretty good, but in that second round, he made a mistake, and Imavov capitalized on it, landed a big shot, and found a finish. Asakura kills you. I think so. I think so as well. I don't think it's a very close matchup, in my opinion. I think Asakura is good. I know a lot of people don't think he's very good. I don't really see why. I think Asakura is good. I know in terms of the grappling, it didn't look great against Pantoja, but Pantoja is the best grappler in the division by far. And there's an argument to be made. He's one of the best grapplers in the entire UFC. So getting taken down and submitted by Pantoja, I don't think is that bad on the resume, or bad at all on the resume of Asakura. And if you watch that fight back, Asakura definitely did have a couple of moments in that fight. So I think he'll be fine in this fight versus him. I think in general, he's going to be pretty good. I think he's going to be a guy that slowly starts to move up the rankings. Right now, he's number 15, but I do think there's actually some guys ahead of him that I think he's better than. Decent amount of guys, actually, that he's better than. Hits really hard for the division. Seems to be a really good striker. Very diverse striker. And I think he's going to be good. Tim won't be able to eat that knee, that Pantoja. I agree, yeah. I don't think anybody actually can eat that knee in this weight class outside of Pantoja. It just seems like Pantoja has the most ridiculous chin that I've ever seen. Just because, maybe not the most ridiculous chin I've ever seen, but he has a really, really good chin. Just because he kind of has a super aggressive style where he's running into some shots. Like if you talk about that knee that Kai Sakura landed, like that was a huge knee, and it really didn't affect Pantoja all that much. But also when you look at the fight against Steve Erceg, when Steve Erceg went up against Pantoja, Erceg landed a perfect elbow when Pantoja was actually coming into the elbow, which essentially doubles the amount of power or damage that it would create or would cause. And Pantoja didn't really get hurt from that either. There's been so many opportunities where he's taken big shots and hasn't even gotten hurt. The only guy that really hurt him that I can remember at least is Figueiredo, but outside of who hits ridiculously hard. But outside of him, I can't think of anybody else that that hurt Pantoja. So his chin is ridiculous. I don't think anybody is honestly on that level. What's next for Royval? So something that I heard that could be next for Royval is Royval versus Brandon Moreno. I personally don't want to see that anymore. I want to see Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Number one contender fight for both of those guys. If Moreno beats Taira, I think he does deserve a title shot, even if Pantoja is still the champion. I think it makes sense, actually. And if Taira beats Moreno, then at that point, he would clearly deserve a title shot against Pantoja. So that's what I would personally like to see next. And in that scenario, I guess you can do Brandon Moreno versus Manel Kape potentially. I think that would make sense. Royval against Kape is what I meant to say. For Royval, he's coming off a loss. Kape is coming off a win. Put the fight together. Why not? I think that would be a good fight to put together. And the winner of that could get the title shot after the winner of Moreno and Taira gets a shot. So that's probably how I would do it. Figgy, yeah, Figgy's who I was talking about before. MVP, KO Jared. I actually don't think so. I don't think so. I think Jared's gonna win, and I'm actually relatively confident in it. I think at range, Jared is going to have a lot of issues, but I think what he's most likely going to do, which we have seen him do in a couple of fights, is I think he's going to pressure MVP, put him alongside the cage, and just grapple him from there and just have him in the clinch. And from the clinch, he can land knees and elbows. I think it's going to be a boring fight if he fights like that, which I do think he will. But at the end of the day, I think he'll be able to get the victory. At range, MVP is difficult for everybody. If you're a striker, only a striker, and you don't have any other ability, MVP is a nightmare matchup for you. But for other guys like Jared Cannonier that I think could go to the wrestling or at least could go to the clinch work, I think that's a real path to victory for Jared. But we'll see, I guess. Imagine Prime Figgy versus Van. That would be a great fight. Actually, I do think it's probably a tough fight for Van, though, just because it doesn't seem like his chin's amazing. And as hard as Figgy hits, I don't know. It honestly might be a tough fight for Van, but Van is just an elite fighter. So I would love to see it. That would be fun. Tim Elliott has won three or four and only lost to Makayev, and will definitely have the grappling advantage. Yeah, he will have the grappling advantage. That's fair. I personally think Kai is going to win, though. I just think he's just a little bit more diverse. And also, Tim hasn't fought in how long? It doesn't always matter, but it is a factor. Tim hasn't fought in a little bit at this point. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how it looks. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Who do you think is going to win Battle Rusaboyev? If I had to say, honestly, I think I'm kind of leaning Rusaboyev a little bit. As I said before, I do think Battle is a significantly more skilled and technical fighter than Rusaboyev is. Just the only thing that jumps out to me is Rusaboyev hits really hard. He's huge for the weight class, and Brian Battle is moving up a weight class to fight Rusaboyev. So I do think there's going to be a size difference here. Also, when you look at some of Brian Battle's fights, he does take a lot of shots, clean shots. So I'm interested to see if Rusaboyev can land clean on Brian Battle. Would he just put him out cold? I do think there is a risk of that. So it's close. I do think it's a close fight. But if I had to say, honestly, I think I may lean Rusaboyev a little bit. And from a betting perspective, he is the underdog, I believe. So maybe getting some value there. But we'll see. It's not like I'm super high in Rusaboyev. With all that being said, I just think he's kind of like a physical freak. I don't think he's that good. He's just a physical freak. But it could be a tough matchup for Brian Battle. But we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, the card's good though, boys. It's just really, really good. Let's see value-wise if we got anything new for this card. Let's see what we got here. So the main event is closing up. Actually, the line keeps moving on the main event. Initially, it was like plus 155, I believe. Then it went up all the way up to plus 195, I think, for Dricus. And now it's plus 180. So the line's kind of moving all over the place, which is interesting. Kai Sakura is a huge favorite. Cannonier is a plus 158. I actually love that value personally. Prata is a big favorite. Pico is a decent favorite. Rusaboyev is a plus 136, what we were talking about before. There's definitely some value on this card. There's definitely some value on this card for sure. Second best card of the year tonight. Yeah, I think so. I think it's the best, unless I'm forgetting about something. I think it's probably the best on paper. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I guess it's possible it doesn't turn out to be fun, but I think that's highly unlikely. Most of these fights are set up to be really fun fights, and the main event, I think it's got to be a guarantee, right? That it's a fun fight. But yeah, unless I'm forgetting about something obvious, I really don't think this year was that great anyway. So I feel like this has got to be the best card on paper of the year. But yeah, let's see. What other cards do we have this year pay-per-view wise? 314 Volk. That wasn't great, honestly. 313 was Pereira Ankalaev, Gaethje Fiziev, Bahamondes Turner. Honestly, that wasn't amazing either. 312 Dricus Strickland. That card I think sucked, if I remember properly. Yeah, main card looks terrible. 311 Islam Moicano. I mean, I think 311 was good, but you cannot say it was the best card of the year just because it was Islam versus Hanata Moicano in the main event. Yeah, honestly, not an amazing cards at the beginning of the year, but usually that's kind of how it works out. The beginning of the year kind of sucks, and once you get into the fall, the cards get better. And we're kind of in that point. The card with Volk was really good on paper, but didn't deliver. Yeah. What was it? So the main event was Volk Lopez, which I thought was a good fight. Let me check it out. Was it 316? No, not 316. 316 sucked, by the way. Just looking at this card. 315, no. 314. Here it is. Yeah, Volk Diego. I thought the fight was fun. Patty versus Chandler. That fight was actually really good. Just a dominating performance from Patty. Then Yair versus Pitbull. That was a terrible fight, actually. Then Gene versus Bryce Mitchell. I actually thought that was fun. Really dominant performance from Gene. So that was good. Dominic Reyes versus Krylov. That was fun. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson was fine. Chase Hooper, Jim Miller. Yeah, the card's fine. I think this card is definitely better, but the card was good. Yeah, good time though to be a UFC fan. Good stuff coming. The Taporia card I believe was quite good. Yeah, that was recently 317. That was a good one. Taporia Charles, which turned out to be a fun fight, really quick fight, but still fun. Pantoja KKF, that was like okay. I would say that's solid. It was solid. I would say Van versus Royval was the fight of the year. Unless I'm forgetting something, like I don't know. I don't know how you can possibly have a fight better than that one was. That was such an amazing fight. And Van won the fight, obviously, and he got a title shot because of it. 100% he deserved it. Actually, they actually haven't announced that fight yet, but he will be getting the next shot against Pantoja. That was an amazing fight. Beneil versus Moicano kind of just showed that Beneil was really good. Honestly, I think that's kind of what it showed. Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. That was a fun fight. Talbot kind of got right back on track to the expectations that he had earlier on in his career. He showed out of nowhere an ability to grapple after showing an inability to grapple before that. So he looked good. The prelims looked pretty good. G-Rod against Jack Hermanson, huge, disgusting KO from G-Rod. Then Delgado versus Hyder Emil. That was a good fight. Only 26 seconds, but it was good. Terrence McKinney versus Borishev. That was a really impressive performance, actually, from McKinney. Yeah, this card was good. Even had Alvin Hines, the legend, on the card, the first fight of the night. I actually thought Alvin Hines looked pretty good. Yeah, it was a good card. I would say probably 317 and 319, in my opinion, are 1 and 2. Probably this week being number 1, at least on paper. And number 2, I think, would be 317. Both of those cards were actually really good. But yeah. Good card this week, boys. Just a few days away at this point. I can't wait for the press conference. What is it on tomorrow? Yeah, it's tomorrow. Should we do a watch along for the press conference? I don't know. I mean, usually press conferences suck, for being honest. But with Dricus and Khamzat, I would like to see how it looks. But yeah. Cejudo versus Song would be a yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. I actually forgot about how that card turned out. But yeah, there was like all finishes on that card, right? Like a ridiculous amount. And then the main event turned out to be weird, but there was a lot of finishes on that card. Yeah, so that definitely could have been card of the year. But yeah, the main event kind of didn't play out. And usually for card of the year, you want to have a main event that also delivered. But outside of the main event, as you said, it was good. Like really, really good. But yeah, I actually think outside of this weekend and 317, I think there's a real argument that was the card of the year, to be honest. But yeah, definitely good stuff though, fellas. Good stuff. You guys see that video of Khamzat tossing around DC? Poor DC. He's getting tossed around. DC's got to get in shape a little bit. Oh, I like that. They asked Dricus what's his description of about his meme fighting style, and he said world champion. That's a good quote. That's good. Listen, this is the thing I'll say about Dricus. He looks really weird or whatever, and on his come up, a lot of people thought he would suck. Actually, including myself. I didn't think he was that good. But obviously I was wrong. But the thing about Dricus is when you actually watch a lot of his fights back, he makes amazing adjustments. He has great game planning going into fights. When you look at the Whitaker fight with that southpaw jab, that was a really good pickup by him and his team. But outside of just the stuff that he does going into fights, he also does a really, really good job at making in-fight adjustments as well. We've seen it so many different times. So Dricus is honestly, I would say, a very cerebral fighter. Yeah, he does like weird shit or stupid shit sometimes, but I would personally say he's a pretty cerebral fighter. So yeah. DDP versus RDR would be amazing. Yeah, I agree. That'd be such a funny fight. Honestly, I think there's a real path to seeing it because if Dricus wins against Khamzat, which is a big if, but if he wins, he'll fight the winner of Imavov and Bahalio. And whoever wins that fight, I think Dricus beats them. As I said before, I just think Khamzat and Dricus are kind of just better than everybody else at that weight class. So whoever wins that fight, I don't think it really matters. I think Dricus would beat either guy. So we would have that. But for RDR, I think the next logical fight for him would be against Fluffy Hernandez. Both of them are coming off a really impressive win. Both of them. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And although Fluffy is good, he's a lot better than I thought initially. I do think there is a chance that RDR could be a tough stylistic matchup for Fluffy, just because Fluffy does look like he's a little bit soft to the body. I know I say it a lot, but it is true. And with that step-in knee that what's his face that Fluffy has, I think that could be a real weapon for him. And maybe he's also going to be a lot bigger than Fluffy. He's a lot bigger than everybody at that weight class, so maybe that can wear on Fluffy a little bit. We'll see. It's a tough fight to predict, I think, but should be a good one. All finishes to start, then Walker Minifield. Oh, that was actually good. That was when Walker looked like he could be good. Font Mansamudo, that was a good one. Alan Fluffy, that was actually really good scrambles in that fight. Yeah, the main event kind of just ruined that card, to be honest. But yeah, that card was amazing, that Seattle card. I feel like they got to go back to Seattle just based on how good that card was. But yeah, I don't know what was in the water that night, but it was tremendous. RDR wants Adesanya. Okay, I don't mind that either, I guess. I feel like the fight really should be RDR and Fluffy, but if he really wants Adesanya and they put that fight together, I mean, I guess fine. But yeah, as I said, I just think it makes a lot more sense for it to be Fluffy RDR, because whoever wins that fight will certainly get a title shot next after the winner of Kaio and Imavov get the shot. But yeah, I mean, I guess if Dricus loses to Khamzat, does he get an immediate rematch? If he does, it would kind of push things back a little bit. But I don't know. If Dricus loses, does he deserve an immediate rematch? I don't know. I feel like maybe he does. How many defenses does Dricus have? So he beat Strickland for the belt, then he beat him again, then he beat Adesanya. So he has 2 title defenses going for his third. Does he deserve a title shot right away? Maybe, honestly. I don't know. We'll see what they do. But I think it'll be RDR versus Fluffy. Yeah, I just think that makes the most sense, personally. But yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I feel like outside of the matchups they already made, there's a lot of matchups they can put together that are really fun, like Fluffy versus RDR, or even some of these other weight classes. There's like a lot of fighters that don't have fights booked, and I think you can put them up against each other and make really fun fights. Like in the lightweight division, Armin, Max, but I won't count Max just because he's not going to fight till next year. But for this year, Armin, Gaethje, Dan Hooker, Patty Pimlet, and I guess you can throw, I don't know, whatever. So you talk about those guys. All those guys are legitimate contenders at the lightweight division. There's a lot of fights that can be made, and they don't have a fight booked at this point, as I said. So there's a lot of movement that can happen at that weight class, and obviously, honestly, a lot of other weight classes as well. A lot of fights to be made. What do you think is next for Sean Strickland? I think for Sean Strickland, I feel like it probably should be Izzy. Strickland versus Izzy again. I feel like that kind of makes sense. If he doesn't fight Izzy, everybody else is kind of booked around him. Could you do Fluffy versus Strickland? I mean, I guess, but I just think the RDR fight is so much more appealing. So I think they would just do that. Could you do Whitaker versus Strickland? I guess, but Whitaker is coming off a couple losses in a row. Does he deserve a huge step up in rankings to number 2? Probably not. This maybe could happen. I don't know if they'll do it, but if Cannonier beats MVP, which I think he will, do they do Cannonier versus Strickland next? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, so I would say for Strickland, Adesanya probably is the most likely next matchup, but if it's not Adesanya, maybe you could do Cannonier. One of those two. Patty should fight Gaethje and Topuria should fight Armin. I think, yeah, if everything's fair, I think that's how it should be. But it seems like Gaethje is just not willing to fight anybody else outside of the title. So I'm assuming he's not going to accept that fight. So I don't know. We were kind of mentioning earlier in chat that, Kid Low specifically was mentioning earlier in chat that they should just do Taporia versus Gaethje, just so Gaethje gets knocked out, and then you could do Armin versus Patty for the number one contender fight. It's not fair to Armin, obviously, but it does seem like at the same time he is willing to fight. So maybe they decide to do that. I don't know, but I think nobody at this point deserves it outside of Armin. Unless they get a win. Like if Patty beats Gaethje, then yeah, he'll deserve a shot. Or if Gaethje beats Patty, yeah, he'll deserve a shot. But at this current moment, I don't think either guy really does. I think if MVP beats Cannonier, then I could see that. I could see that. What is MVP though? This is going to be his first fight at middleweight. Right now, he's number 15 at welterweight. That's a huge step up in competition, but I could see that, I guess. Or MVP versus Adesanya. I think that would honestly make more sense. Strickland versus MVP is such a weird fight, I feel, but I guess I could see that. I don't know. If that does theoretically happen, though, then Strickland literally has like no option on who he could fight next. Like, it would have to be Cannonier. I don't think anybody else makes sense. Everybody either has a fight booked or they're coming off a loss, or it just doesn't make sense rankings-wise to put them up against each other. Strickland's kind of in a weird spot, though. We see this sometimes where guys are obviously really good, obviously deserving of being at the top of the weight class rankings-wise, but they lost to the champion a couple times. You saw it with Max Holloway when he lost 3 times, actually, to Volkanovski. We saw it with Colby Covington when he lost twice to Kamaru Usman. We saw it, obviously, right now, I guess, with Sean Strickland when he lost a couple times to DDP. You know, these guys are good enough, or even Robert Whittaker when he lost a few times to Izzy. These guys are obviously really good, and they're always going to be at the top of their individual weight class. It's just the problem is they lost so many times to the champion that they're not going to get another title shot for a while. Like they would have to make it very obvious that they deserve the shot for them to get it. So Strickland's kind of in that weird zone at this point where it's just, I don't know. I don't know really what's next for him. And even if he fights, let's say Cannonier, or even if he fights Adesanya and he beats him, like you're not going to give him a title shot after that win. And even if he fights one more guy after that, does he get a title shot after that if Dricus is still champion? Honestly, probably not. So he's in a weird spot. Maybe Strickland versus the loser of Imavov Bahayo. That actually makes sense. I could see that. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't mind that. Does Strickland train with Bahalio, though? I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. But I thought, I know Bahalio trains with the Fighting Nerds, but I thought Strickland trains sometimes trains with Bahalio. I don't know if that would affect anything, but honestly, I could be just wrong on that. Maybe they don't train it all together. But, yeah. Adesanya predicts Dricus will defeat Khamzat Chimiev by late KO. That's kind of, or TKO. That's kind of how I see the fight playing out. We'll see though. We'll see. Strickland trains with Curtis and Delice. Yeah. No, I know he does, but I thought there was a couple times where he trained with Bahalio. Maybe not. But damn. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the main event, fellas. I'm definitely excited for it. Definitely really excited for it. Who do you guys think is going to win? You think DDP or Khamzat just submits DDP in the first round, or you think DDP survives and gets the finish late, or a decision? Should be good stuff. Let's look at other weight classes. What can we do matchmaking wise? So I think Volkanovski is going to fight the winner of Pico and Lerone Murphy. So that's obvious. Or most likely, I'll say. Then you can do, what does Movsar do at this point? I guess you can do Movsar and the loser of Silva and Diego Lopez. Maybe you could do that. Because I think the winner of Lopez and or I'll put it this way: if Diego Lopez beats Gene Silva, I think you can do Lopez versus Movsar. I think that makes sense. But if Gene Silva beats Lopez, which I think is going to happen, I think Gene will just get a title shot in his next fight. As I said, the winner of Pico and Lerone is going to get the next title shot. But I think after that happens, Gene Silva, if he beats Diego Lopez, I think he'll get his next fight will be a title shot. So I think that's probably how it goes. Do you think they're going to give Yair a title shot? No, I think that's all but dead at this point. Initially, it seemed like it was going to happen, but I think something's changed. So initially, the only reason why it was going to happen, obviously, Yair didn't deserve a title shot off one win over Pitbull, who's like 40 or whatever old he is. Obviously, he didn't deserve it, but the only reason why I think the UFC was going to give him a title shot was initially that pay-per-view. Initially it was supposed to be a pay-per-view for the UFC Noche card, and it was supposed to be in Guadalajara, and they just had no potential contenders, Mexican contenders that could be in the main event. So I think they were just going with Yair because of that. But because the UFC decided to, or Dana White, I should say, decided to promote Canelo and Crawford, I think they were just focusing a lot more on Canelo and Crawford as opposed to what the UFC had going for them. So they changed it from a pay-per-view to a fight night, and instead of going to Guadalajara, it's going to be a fight night in the US. And because of that, Yair lost his opportunity to get a title shot. And now it seems like he's just going to have to fight whoever else they're going to put him up against as a contender fight. And yeah, I don't think they're giving him the immediate title shot. It seemed like they were going to, and he was kind of getting lucky because of the circumstance. But yeah. Volk says he wants Evloev or the winner versus Big. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be the winner versus Pico and Murphy is going to get the title shot next. I'm sure Volk does want Evloev as well. But we'll see. We'll see how much longer Volk goes for, and even if he could beat the winner of Pico and Lerone. I really would have liked to see Volk versus Evloev. I think that would have been a really fun fight, and honestly, a fight that's very winnable for Volkanovski. But doesn't seem like it's going to happen, in my opinion. I thought the arena in Guadalajara burned down. Oh, is it? Well, I know the PI burned down. Did the arena also burn down? I don't know. Is the PI in Guadalajara or is it somewhere else in Mexico? I thought it was Guadalajara. I don't know. But if it just burned down, then I guess that's probably the reason why. I just thought it was because they're promoting Canelo Crawford, and I just didn't think the UFC really wanted to put on a pay-per-view event to compete with that, considering that Dana is promoting Canelo Crawford. But you might be right. Maybe it just burned down. Sorry, boys. But yeah, good stuff, fellas. Good stuff for sure. But yeah, in terms of news, I don't think anything else really came out. It's kind of just all about fight week, which I'm excited about. I believe there happened something with that. Okay. Yeah, no, you might be right. Maybe that's the reason. And I guess if they lost the arena, it'll become difficult for them to continue with a pay-per-view. So they just made it into a fight night. They went to the US and that was it. But yeah. But anyways, fellas, I know this is a little bit of a shorter live stream. Usually I do stream for like 2 hours, but I had something come up. So I think I'm going to end the stream at this point. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks so much for all your questions and comments in chat. I'll be streaming tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to be there if you guys are interested. And until then, I'll see you boys next time. Peace out, fellas.